Your family needs you, son.
The Jackson family's crooked. They ain't ranchers.
Beulah has collapsed, Joaquin is gone, and Rob Will is now the officially named heir to 10 Petal Ranch. Everything that Beth, Rip, and Beulah spent this entire season building is suddenly sitting on the edge of collapse. Episode 8 is titled Whiskey Limits, and that title should terrify you because Rob Will no longer has anyone powerful enough to stop him. He is in control now. And in Dutton Ranch's world, when a man like Rob Will gets power, nothing stays standing for long. Let's start with where Episode 7, Den of Sin, actually left us, because you need to understand exactly how broken things are before we can talk about what's coming in Episode 8. Rob Will Jackson, full name Robert William Jackson III, walked into that 10-petal 190th anniversary party like a man with absolutely nothing to lose. He didn't come for the celebration. He didn't come to make peace. He came to take what he believes is his by blood, by name, and by force. And the terrifying part is, it worked. Beulah had everything planned. This anniversary was supposed to be a moment of pride. She was ready to stand in front of everyone and name Joaquin as her successor, the man who has been by her side since childhood, who has earned every inch of that ranch through decades of loyalty and sacrifice. But Rob Will didn't walk in there with logic or reason. He walked in with a threat. Either Beulah names him as heir, or Joaquin ends up dead. And here is what makes it so painful to watch. Beulah, a woman who has never backed down from anyone, folded, not out of weakness, out of love, because she would rather give up the ranch than lose Joaquin's life. So she stood up in front of her guests, her business partners, Beth and Rip, and restaurateur Zane Nash, the CEO of Frontier Hospitality, who had just agreed to a landmark beef deal, and she handed 10 petal to the one person who had done nothing to deserve it. The look on Joaquin's face said everything. He didn't argue, he didn't fight it, he simply walked out. And just like that, the most loyal man on that ranch was gone. But the damage didn't stop there. Carter, who had already been publicly humiliated all night by Oriana rejecting him in favor of her college friend Harrison Williams, got drunk and ripped a longhorn off the wall and smashed it on the floor. What nobody fully understood in that moment was just how much that object meant to Beulah. Within minutes of it hitting the ground, she grabbed her neck and collapsed. It was Everett McKinney who immediately called for a medevac, and the last image of Episode 7 is a woman who has fought and bled for 10 petal her entire life, being airlifted away, while the empire she built now legally belongs to the most dangerous person in the room. That is the world we are stepping into with Episode 8 titled Whiskey Limits. And that title is not an accident, because when you remove the one person who has always kept Rob Will in check, and that person is Beulah, there are no more limits. He is the named successor. He has already tried to have Joaquin killed once, sending Chet to do the job before that situation blew up. He already drove Carter to a breaking point. And now, for the first time this entire season, there is nobody standing between Rob Will and full control of 10 Petal Ranch. Nobody except Beth and Rip. And that is exactly where things are about to get extremely dangerous. The business fallout alone is staggering. Zane Nash built that Frontier Hospitality deal around Beulah's name, her story, her reputation. The second she collapsed and Rob Will stepped into the picture, Nash made it very clear that the deal was now in jeopardy. Beth spent weeks earning Beulah's trust and landing the biggest opportunity 10 Petal had seen in years. And in one single night, Rob Will managed to threaten a man's life, destabilize the entire room, and push a career-defining deal to the brink of collapse without even trying. But here is the question nobody is loudly asking yet. If Beulah survives and recovers, and I genuinely believe she will because this show is not done with her, what exactly does she come back to? Because Rob Will is not going to quietly return the power just because his mother woke up in a hospital bed. He has been waiting for this his whole life. Joaquin is gone. Oriana is firmly on her father's side. So who is left inside 10 Petal capable of pushing back? And is Mariano's full story, the secret thread that connects everything in this season, finally about to unravel before the finale? Let's talk about Carter, because I think a lot of people are underestimating just how much of a problem his storyline is about to become in Episode 8. The title Whiskey Limits is almost certainly a reference to Carter's drinking spiral, and that is not a small detail. Think about what this kid has been carrying all season. He came to Texas with Beth and Rip trying to become something. He found what he thought was a real connection with Oriana. He was putting in the work, showing up every day, trying to prove himself. And then in one single night at that anniversary party, Oriana looked him in the eye, introduced him as nothing more than a friend, and spent the rest of the evening publicly flirting with Harrison Williams right in front of him. She even told him to stop acting like a steer and grow a pair. That is not just heartbreak. That is humiliation in front of everyone he knows. And how did Carter respond? He got drunk, picked up a prized longhorn off the wall, and smashed it on the floor. Now, Carter being reckless is not new, but what changed in that moment is that his recklessness had consequences he could not have predicted. That longhorn meant something deep to Beulah, and when it shattered on that floor, something in Beulah shattered with it. So whether Carter understands it or not, he played a role in the chain of events that led to Beulah collapsing. That is a weight he is going to have to carry. And if episode 8 is really pushing his drinking to its absolute limit, that tells us his spiral is not slowing down. It is getting worse. Beth and Rip are not going to sit back and let that happen. They never have. But here is the problem. Beth and Rip are also fighting to keep their own position at 10 Petal from completely dissolving. Their entire setup in South Texas, the work Rip has done as foreman, the alliance Beth built with Beulah, the business deal with Zane Nash, all of it was built on a relationship with Beulah, not with Rob Will. And Rob Will has made it crystal clear that he has no interest in anything Beth and Rip represent. They were Beulah's people, which in Rob Will's mind makes them the opposition. So heading into episode 8, Beth and Rip are essentially managing two disasters at the same time. A drunk, heartbroken Carter spiraling towards something dangerous, and a power-hungry man who now legally controls the ranch they work on. Now let's talk about Oriana, because her role in all of this is something the show has been building quietly, and it deserves more attention. Oriana is Rob Will's daughter, and episode 7 made it undeniable. She is not a neutral party. When Rob Will showed up at that party uninvited, Oriana was the one who walked Beulah into the office to face him. And when Beulah publicly surrendered and named Rob Will as successor, Oriana hugged her father. That smile, that hug, that is not a daughter who is conflicted. That is a daughter who knew exactly what was coming and helped make it happen. She was never fully committed to Carter. She was never going to choose him over her father. And now, heading into episode 8, Oriana is positioned right next to Rob Will as he tightens his grip on 10 Petal. And that brings us to Joaquin. He walked out of that party with nothing. The ranch he poured his life into, the woman who raised him like a son, the future he was being quietly prepared for, all of it was stripped away in one public announcement. But Joaquin leaving is not the same as Joaquin disappearing. This is a man with history, with connections, and with a reason to be extremely angry. Rob Will has already tried to have him killed once. And now that Beulah is hospitalized and Rob Will is running the show, there is nothing stopping him from finishing what he started. The question is whether Joaquin knows how much danger he is actually in. And more importantly, does Mariano? Because Mariano is the name that keeps coming up at the edges of this story, and the season finale is titled El Padrino, which translates directly to The Godfather. That title is not pointing at Rob Will. That title is pointing at someone operating from the shadows, someone who has been protecting secrets for decades, someone with a debt, a history, and a reason to finally step forward. And if Mariano is that person, then episode 8 might not just be Rob Will's story, it might be the moment the last piece of the puzzle finally starts to move. So what exactly does Mariano know, and who is he really protecting? Let's talk about what Beth and Rip are actually going to do, because these two are not the type of people who watch chaos unfold and do nothing. That has never been who they are. Rip spent this entire season earning his place at 10 Petal, building respect with the crew, and quietly becoming the backbone of daily operations on that ranch. Beth spent weeks dismantling her distrust of Beulah, building something real, and landing a business deal that could have changed 10 Petal's future. They did not do all of that to hand it over to Rob Will without a fight. But here is what makes their situation so complicated heading into episode 8. They cannot just go after Rob Will directly. He is the legally named successor. Beulah made that announcement in front of witnesses. And unless Beulah recovers and reverses that decision herself, Rob Will has the authority to do whatever he wants with that ranch, which means Beth and Rip are going to have to be smart about this. And if there is one thing Beth Dutton has always been, it is ruthlessly smart when her back is against the wall. My best guess is that episode 8 forces Beth into a position she has been in before back in Yellowstone, watching something she helped build get threatened from the inside and having to decide how far she is willing to go to protect it. Because this is not just about the ranch anymore. Rob Will has already proven he is willing to use violence to get what he wants. He sent Chet after Joaquin. He threatened to kill his own adopted brother to his mother's face without flinching. And now that Beulah is in a hospital bed and Joaquin is off the ranch, the only people left who can actually challenge Rob Will are Beth and Rip. The title Whiskey Limits suggests that this episode is going to test every single character to their absolute breaking point, and that includes Beth and Rip. Now let's get to Beulah, because I genuinely believe her survival is the key to everything in these final 2 episodes. If she dies, Rob Will wins. Simple as that. The ranch is his, the business deal collapses, Joaquin has nothing to come back for, and Beth and Rip lose everything they have built in South Texas. But if she survives, and the show's main season trailer actually showed a medevac arriving at the Jackson property, which strongly suggests she makes it to the hospital in time, then the dynamic shifts completely. A living Beulah, even a weakened one recovering from a medical emergency, is still a threat to Rob Will's control. She can still reverse the succession announcement. She can still reach out to Joaquin. She can still fight. And something tells me that a woman who has been keeping secrets and surviving impossible situations since 1981 is not going to let one bad night be her last. But even if Beulah survives, the damage has already been done in ways that cannot simply be undone. Zane Nash walked away from that party shaken. The frontier hospitality deal that Beth worked so hard to close is sitting on a knife's edge. Joaquin is gone, and nobody knows exactly where he went or what he is planning. Oriana has made her loyalties crystal clear, and Carter is drinking himself into a spiral that nobody has had the time to properly address. Every single storyline in this show is now heading toward the same collision point, and that collision point is episode 9, El Padrino, The Godfather. Whatever that finale is setting up, episode 8 is the episode that loads the gun, and Rob Will is walking around that ranch right now like a man who finally has nothing left to fear. That terrifies me. Because the most dangerous version of Rob Will is not the one who is threatening people. It is the one who believes he has already won. And right now, with Beulah in a hospital, Joaquin gone, and Oriana by his side, he has every reason to believe exactly that. So I want to know what you think. Does Beulah make it out of that hospital and take her ranch back? Does Joaquin come back? And if he does, is he coming back peacefully or with Mariano right beside him? And most importantly, what exactly is Beth Dutton going to do when she realizes that being smart might not be enough this time? Drop your theories in the comments below. And after that, go check out this video next. Trust me, you are going to love it.